Welcome back, Femme Fam!
Hey, fam!
We missed you.
We missed you guys, but hello, season 10.
Woo!
Woo! We are almost at 100 episodes. Guys, it's been a ride, and we are so grateful that we have continued to do this because knowing that you guys are out there and tuning in to the Ethernet and...
To the Ethernet?
I don't know.
Are we in 1996?
There's the grandma in me. You know what I'm saying? Like the waves. The waves. Oh my gosh.
Thank you for tuning in is the bottom line.
And also because this is a special episode because we're also doing video for our Patreon subscribers.
If you guys are just listening to the normal podcast episode, we have a video version of this available where we're going to show you some behind the scenes footage, which we'll get into in a minute. But if you're interested in that, you have to join us over at patreon.com/FemmeRegard, and you can subscribe for as little as $5 a month to get exclusive video footage. You can go up to $10 to get some cool downloads and stuff, especially if you edit your own videos and stuff. We've got some really cool things like that. And up to $20, you get some free Femme merch.
Femme Fam
like
merch.
this, yeah.
Y'all look at us. We're sporting it today. We're really cute.
But we've got a great episode for you, regardless if you're listening or watching. And before we get into that, I just want to let you guys know we've got a lot of really cool guests coming up this season too. And if you guys have suggestions for guests, we are so open to that. Like Sockbox Studios from Instagram has sent us so many awesome people already. Like we're so excited.
And so grateful for listeners like him and him being part of the Femme Fam community, just giving us feedback. We really, really appreciate that. It helps us know where we can cater our guests to you and like who you want to hear from or topics you want to learn more about and discuss. I mean, it's been so great. Tessa and I, the guests we have coming on this season, generally are topics that we like want to learn and know more about because, you know, they're worlds that we don't deal with on the day-to-day. And as a producer, always, you know, want to know everything.
Yeah. And we want to teach you guys.
We want to share. That's what we're here to do. And so thanks for tuning in today and seeing us if you are on the Patreon.
We know you missed our beautiful faces.
I know. Hi. Hello. I know. I mean, it's so like funny. We're like on camera again and we're like, oh, hey, like I am. I'm just like, oh, she's here.
We're also the femme merch that we're wearing right now are our sweatshirts, which we both like love the ones we got.
God,
and they're so comfy and they're so cute, but it's like 90 degrees today.
And we had to turn the fan off so that way you guys got the best audio.
Yeah.
Because we're here to deliver premium quality content. But no, it is also, shout out to all the Femme Fam supporters who have bought our these sweatshirts specifically. You guys have all told us how comfortable they are and the quality is seriously great. So we're really happy with it. And we found a merch line that will work for comfort and some cute stuff. So also check that out on our website. We revamped it recently. Yeah. So there's even a cute crop top on there for anyone who wants to support that in the summer. Our newest item. But the reason why, again, we are having this special is because we are going to talk about our latest release. Thank you, Tessa. Desert Flowers.
Woo! We know you guys have been patiently waiting for the past 3 years. But it was our first project. We literally had no idea what we were doing.
And literally chose like the hardest thing to shoot. Yeah. And to that point, I'm very proud of us. Yeah. I don't care that it took this long. That's the whole journey, right? That's why we've learned that we're not enjoying the journey, if we're not giving ourselves the time to get better or to learn, especially if it's your first ever shooting anything. Yeah, maybe some projects shouldn't take 3 years, but but this one, in the capacity it was done and everything, the editing, production stuff, just being so new to us, we needed to take our time with it.
And at one point, we set it aside. We worked on other things because we were so frustrated. And that's okay too. You have to love your project to be able to finish it because
Yeah.
If we would have just like pushed through and kept going, it wouldn't have been as good because we would have just been like, okay, that's good enough, you know, like let's get it done. So that's okay.
It's okay. And
Yeah.
and yeah, working on other things, we worked on other shorts in between like several. That helped us learn more about editing and sound and all the things that helped us finish it.
Yeah.
So that's why sometimes if you feel stuck, it is okay to like, you know, work on something else. And writing, that's an advice we've given before. Like, then work on something else really quick, and that maybe will bring up the creative juices that you need to go finish what you started. So it is okay. And yeah, we're doing it for, again, our Patreon members to see some exclusive behind the scenes of what we're going to talk about. So
So before we get into the whole process, I just
Yes.
want to say, if you have not watched Desert Flowers, first of all, we put it out for our Patreons first. Another reason to join if you haven't yet. They got an exclusive whole month of it before we released it to the public. And then we released it on YouTube. So if you haven't watched it, it's only like 2.5 minutes. You've got the time. Just join us over on our YouTube. Just search FemmeRegard. We're the first ones that pop up. And take the time, check it out, and then come back and watch this afterwards so you can really see like what went into it.
exactly. I think you guys will hopefully be like, all right, Carolina, why are you in a wig? Tessa, you look cute as hell. You know, look at her shooting backwards on a horse.
Oh my God, yes.
All blessed accidents, you know? There's so many things that happen that day. So just get ready to sit back and hear the journey.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're going to take you through through today. So Tessa, where do we even we're not going to go back why we started stuff, but
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've already told you guys the story of how we started. If you're a brand new listener, in a nutshell, Carolina and I met in an acting class and we did a web series project together. And that's when we were like, hey, we love each other.
this girl, she's so good to me.
We realized we work so well together because we're both people that get shit done. And we had the same taste and stuff that we wanted to do, you know, and we had the same issues that were arising that, you know, as actors, we weren't getting the kind of auditions we wanted and stuff. And we wanted to explore filmmaking. So it was perfect. It was fate.
It was fate that brought us together.
But yeah, on that note, you know, we decided, so what are we going to do as our first project? We both wanted to do period pieces. And we were like, what kind of period piece can we realistically pull off?
Here in sunny California.
Yeah. So we thought, a Western.
A Western. Duh. You know, we got the Wild West over here, the desert, the hot sun.
Yeah, we've got the locations. There's lots of horse places around LA.
We thought we were doing what an independent filmmaker would do, is work with the location you got and figure out your budget and see if you can make both of those things work.
Yeah.
Well, that was us, you know, logistically, that was what we thought was the smart thing to do, which is the smart thing to do, but it's a whole lot trickier than we anticipated it being. It's such a big undertaking too, because we wanted horses, you know, we wanted wranglers. We decided to choose the most complicated scene of our script because Tess and I co-wrote this script together as a full feature about, let's tell them what it's about, Tessa.
So it is about two estranged sisters who are searching down the murderer of their father. And, you know, they're searching for him as adults, where the one sister has gone off, lived her life as a cowboy, you know, and this is what she does.
Gal.
And then the other sister is, you know, she stayed in town. She stayed with Ma. She's running her own restaurant now, looking for her husband, you know. So we got these two sisters who are polar opposites coming together to seek revenge. And they find out in the end that revenge is not that sweet. Really, what matters is their connection and reuniting and
their relationship coming, you know, finding it's kind of like that buddy love story at the same time with the revenge aspect. Yeah.
And it's very callback to Sergio Leone kind of Western, you know, that spaghetti style.
There's a lot of I don't want to say kitschy, but that cute humor. Yeah. We loved to play with that old comedic kind of Western
It's got a little
humor.
camp to it.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
And I think from what I've heard from our Patreons, they really thought that was like nice to have that comedic relief, because the modern Westerns that we've seen made nowadays, a lot of them are very like dramatic, which totally, but we wanted that classic retro feel.
Mm-hmm.
So please let us know if you liked that. We're curious. Give us the feedback when you see it. But that is the genre, that Western revenge. But we got that buddy friend love story between us, and how, you know, our relationship then transpires into, you know, being reunited again.
So after writing the script on
Yes.
that, you know, we decided what scene should we shoot. Looking back, it probably would have been wiser to shoot a scene that would have been more of like a proof of concept that really like shows our relationship, gives you more of a taste of the whole story. But at the time, we thought, let's just shoot the most show-offy scene, which we did.
That is exactly what we did. That was exactly the thought process.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tessa. I love that we can look back on this now, though, and like see why we
things
thought.
we learned. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You won't know or learn or grow unless you like do it. So again, do it, but always try. Learn from us. Learn from us that it's not for a proof of concept. You want to showcase the world, but you can do that with a scene that will show off. Maybe for us, it would have been smarter, to really highlight our relationship. Tessa being this grumpy kind of stoic and like cowgirl-esque person, and me being more of the I want the traditional conservative things in life, and just, you know, not to go chasing after, you know, getting revenge and stuff. My character isn't interested in that.
Yeah. And the reason I say this is I think this, in the end, the scene that we have is really cool as something to show off for like our talent and the world of the movie. But yeah, if we were to use it as a proof of concept to pitch or like a trailer, I don't think that it really encapsulated
like that relationship, what we needed.
So just a pro tip to you guys if you're doing the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you bring that up, and I think you guys can like learn from that too. So that being said, so we went with the biggest fight scene,
which included like stunts. It included just regular riding on a horse is like kind of considered a stunt in some ways. And we had guns and we had like all kinds of stuff, which we decided to shoot in one day because, again, it's, 2.5 minutes final product.
And budget wise, like one day was already at our budget.
Which we'll talk a little more about in a minute. But I wish that we could have had 2 days. Agreed. I think our DP Mike would agree.
Shout out to Mike.
Yes, thank you, Mike Lang, for everything that you did for us. You're amazing.
Yeah, just going on that roller coaster ride, and because he was there from location scouting to then sealing the deal with this production company. We'll get into that, but shout out, like he really went along for the ride. Even on that day. So we were like, okay, so this scene consisted us traveling through the desert, and I mean, it's a little bit of spoiler alert, but you guys will see it, so it's fine. But then we get attacked by 2 wranglers out in the desert, looking to start to come after us and rush, what's it called? Ruffle our feathers. Why do I always do this? I can't.
But we take them on and end up, we win in the end. And yeah, I mean, that's it's really just an action fight scene, pretty simple.
And you still get a bit of our humor. So
you do, you get to see like the style, and you do get to see kind of what our characters
are like.
Yeah. In the scene, I mean, it's an outdoor location. So that's, weather elements, sound with the wind, the sun, there's animals. We're riding them.
There's 4 horses total. We're all on a horse.
Yeah. There's stunts with like the wranglers are actually doing actual horse stunts, and there's guns. So there's a lot of moving parts. Definitely, that's why we say 2 days would have been better, because there's just so many elements that we can't control. And there was a lot of shots that we really wish we would have gotten more footage of, like more takes of.
Right.
But again, like that didn't fit in our budget. should we tell them what we ended up spending for
Yeah.
1 day of shooting? In the end was $6,000. So
Absolutely.
$6,000 went into a 2.5 minute scene. Like, that's a lot of fucking money, you guys.
Like you can do a complete short film
for less than that.
For less than that. That's true.
So that's what you get for doing a Western. No regrets,
and we
though.
still got a steal though.
Yeah.
Like in reality, like we would totally work with the production company. Shout out to
Yes, Caravan West. They were awesome. If you guys are looking to do any sort of Western thing, check them out. They're in Agua Dulce, right outside or part of Santa Clarita. Pete Sherrico's the owner, and then Curtis Anton is like the production side of it. They work together.
Yeah, he has his own production company, Snakebite
Mhm.
Productions. So you don't have to work with him and his team. He was a producer we decided to bring on because he had also a lot of gear to help us get what we wanted done today.
Yeah, and the team was...
that day.
Well, yeah.
3 years ago.
And the team was fabulous. Like, because they had the location, they had access to the horses. They were the ones that found the wranglers, the costumes,
guns,
like
everything period piece
Yeah.
accurate, because that's something that was really important to us too. So before we even found them, Tessa and I had spent a couple days out in the Palm Desert.
We were in like Joshua Tree area, Barstow,
like
everywhere. Everywhere there's a desert surrounding LA, we were there.
We met with several people. Some of them had their own, like, we targeted places that owned horses and contacted them to asking them, like, for filming type location services. And it was like $6,000 was usually the budget just to shoot there.
Yeah.
And so no cameras, no gear, just using maybe 3 horses, and
they weren't movie horses.
No,
Most places were not. They were trained well, but they weren't trained to be movie horses, which is something super important if you're working with horses. I mean, if they're just like out in the field, sure, whatever. But if you're riding horses on camera, get movie horses.
Yes, because they, horses are, even movie horses,
they're fickle.
They get spooked by, could be anything. And I think with the movie horses, they're used to cameras at least. Like they're used to
guns.
That was another thing.
Yeah.
A regular horse might really freak out and you could get reared off. And so we didn't even consider these things too. We were just also learning that as we went through. And that's why when we came across
Caravan West. Yeah.
Thank you. We were like, oh, like Pete really informed us of all that.
Because let's talk about the places we did go visit. There are a lot of Wild West set places around LA. So if you're looking for just buildings like the Wild West town, Calico Ghost Town, got a really cute picture there.
Yeah.
What's it called? Pioneer Town out in Joshua Tree, which I love visiting. Pappy and Harriet's little restaurant there, which was closed when we went, of course, but great place to check out if you're in Joshua Tree. Where was the one? Was it Yucca Valley, I think, where we stopped to get gas and a lady asked us if we were going to the desert to get married. Is that something people do? You get married in the desert? I don't know, but
I think it was just 2 girls out in the desert. What else are we doing?
Of course. Right? No, we're not making a movie. We're getting married.
Yeah.
But I think that was also the day that we went to visit the one ranch, whose name shall not be mentioned. But we had quite a time there.
Guys, their son, who was going to be hired as the production site, location site manager, because they insisted on that, got our truck stuck in the sand that day.
While they were touring us around.
And we're like, oh, this guy, this kid. It was like a kid. No. that was, oh, Mike, if you're gonna listen to this episode, do you remember that?
Oh, God.
We were both looking at each other and they were definitely oh, well, it's $6,000 just to have him, have the 2 horses, and you guys can maybe use a golf cart or something to get around or something like that.
Yeah, that's not worth $6,000, you guys, if you're doing location scouting. Let me tell you, not worth it, because that's just going to be a headache on the day of filming.
I think something that Tessa and I also really learned when dealing with talking to so many different people was being really clear with our shots, the kinds of shots we wanted, the location, ground, like all those things, and being persistent about our vision and like still, of course, working with the parameters that we had to like work with. Yeah. But I think the biggest lesson, like, you know, even joining on with Caravan West and Snakebite Productions, that was something that I had to like keep going back and forth with as a director. I had to keep like being like, you know, we went out maybe 3 times to make sure they knew where exactly which valley, because they have a big land, like they have tons of land, which is awesome. Yeah.
But we wanted a very specific look, you know, and we had to be like, oh, well, you know, we need somewhere that has a hill because we need this one, you know, rider to be up on the top of the hill at one shot, and just, being really specific about that. Because otherwise we would have gotten there on the day of shooting and be like, so where are we going to go? And wasted 2 hours just, you know,
trying to set it up.
Yeah.
So that was something that it was
a really important
it was really
thing
important
to specify. Another one though too is budget, which like we didn't know what our budget should be for a location. Like we were still brand new at this. We didn't know how much to expect to spend, and people will not give you their numbers. They want to hear what your budget is. Yep. And it's so frustrating because we didn't know what to tell them. And people were like, well, we're willing to work with you. What's your budget? What do you want to spend? And we were like, we don't know. Like, you know, we
know, but we like don't want to say it because it's definitely lower.
Yeah, because we had an idea for our full budget,
right?
But
which was the $6,000.
Yeah,
actually, just kidding. It wasn't the $6,000.
It said 5s are like top, but yeah.
But that was including hiring Mike, some extra, the sound.
That was overall budget. Like we didn't know what to spend on just the location,
right? And so with Caravan Invest, they were like a little over 4. I want to say.
That sounds right.
That was it. And I was like, totally, that was like the best that we could get. And honestly, they definitely cut us a deal. So thank you again for that. And, you know, being first time filmmakers, you know, that's really, really generous.
So let's talk a little bit more about when we found them.
We were trying to build out our team.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And needing, like, I don't know if we were asking for, like, someone, we probably put in the description working with horses, like, we need that kind of experienced crew or something. That's sounding right, like production hub or something.
Yeah.
And he just came in full force listing absolutely, like what we said, everything that they offered, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So that was kind of luck. That was pure, because at that point, Tessa and I, this is after Tessa and I had seen like literally all those 5 different places, drove around the desert, and we were at a point where we were like feeling defeated, honestly. We were not like sure if we were going to make this happen. And that's when his email came in, which, guys, it's just life, you know? Right when you hit rock bottom, which we continued to hit. Yeah. We'll get into it. We were like, oh, shit. But he came down and we were like, great.
Yeah. Because through them, like we said, we got the location, we got the horses. Those were, you know, included in what we ended up paying them. They found the 2 wranglers for us, which was awesome because I don't know where we would have found 2 like stunt riding men. The costumes we rented from them. The gun we rented from them. And Pete taught me, well, I went and learned how to shoot a revolver myself. I took a class and like went to the shooting range and stuff, and I actually really enjoy it. That's a new hobby of mine. But he taught me how to twirl it, which was really fun. And we didn't end up putting that in the film because we didn't have time for it. But now I know how to twirl a gun if anybody ever needs a Western gal to do that in their film.
This girl.
But that was all included. And then production side, I think we rented what?
We had a red camera come as a package with Mike, our DP. We then also sought out for our aerial shots, because we specifically wanted an enclosing kind of shot of the cowboys coming in, surrounding us. So we also got a drone.
Yes.
But because this is like a bigger project, we didn't want to just get any drone guy. We wanted like a professional drone team.
Mm-hmm.
So for the aerial shots, we wanted to go with a professional company that had a drone and can operate it, because again, you can't have your DP / we had Mike also be the cinematographer. So again, we were working with a really small crew, because for independent film, you got to do that sometimes. And so we needed someone else to operate that.
Yeah, so we got a professional team in, which the drone shots proved to be very difficult. Because, well, first of all, they came out and location scouted with us once we had decided on the location. And they knew what they were going to do, planned it all out, which was awesome. And I'm so glad that we did that. And I'm so grateful to them that they did that with us. And we'll put their names in the show notes and everything, guys. Don't worry if you need a drone company. But on day of, we had 50-mile-an-hour winds, probably. I don't even know. But it was
definitely over 20.
Yeah, it was insane.
Minimum 20-mile-per-hour winds. And so my wig, because she decided to be the goddamn Goldilocks, which now I would not do that. I would just keep my natural. We're sisters. Like, look at us, guys. For those of you who can see us today. But
yeah, the wig was blowing everywhere. The drone was blowing everywhere. Like, we couldn't use any of the sound because of the wind.
It was a nightmare.
Yeah.
But we'll
circle back to that. But I just wanted to mention
point.
that, talking about the drones, like that's something to consider, is if you're shooting outside, weather conditions, especially in the desert where it gets really windy and stuff, something we didn't consider.
Well, I mean, some of it's not predictable,
right,
too. Like, it was, we'll get back to that, because the weather kept pushing our date.
Yeah.
Because of crazy California stuff. Again, shooting in California, guys. Woo!
But back to prep.
And the equipment. So we had, those were the only 2 cameras, I think, that we needed. Mm-hmm. We didn't need lighting because we were using natural
lighting. We were outside. We could have used things like reflectors and stuff, but we just had too small of a crew and plus we're moving around and we're being shot from far away, and it was just too much.
We got, we invested in, which now I don't know, would have been, maybe Curtis was right after all, was a black arm, which for those of you who don't know what that is, it's like, if you Google it, you'll see it's like a giant, like kind of crane looking thing that you will hook. For us, we hooked it on the back of a pickup truck, that will then hold the red camera in place and act as like
it gives you the dolly shots then. Like the camera can be moving while you're moving.
So it's essentially like a way of having a gimbal. It's like a giant gimbal to like then keep it smoothly running through. And then I think we also had to get a different gimbal too to attach to it. I can't remember the gimbal at the time.
Yeah.
But there was a specific gimbal that we needed to also attach onto that arm.
To keep it more like a steady cam kind of thing, because it was on a truck and the terrain was not flat. So it was going to be really bumpy if we didn't get more of like a, stabilizing steady cam gimbal kind of deal.
For all of you, what do you call the gaffers out there that may be tuning into this, you guys know.
Well, that's why on big films they build a dolly track, so it is flat and the camera just whoop right down the thing. But we didn't have the means to do that.
And honestly, this is what's kind of the creative aspect for a DP's job. So again, shout out to Mike. He spent some rehearsal time with the hired gaffer, figuring out how to even rig this black arm to the current truck with the gimbal. All those moving pieces, I've learned by just from what I saw and heard, and you professional gaffers out there know, you guys are just kind of constructing this and like figuring it out. And there's so much respect and creative like mindset that you need to have to problem solve so many of these issues, because that's exactly what they were like trying to avoid, was the bumpiness in the road. And why I said like maybe it didn't work out so great for us is I thought the black arm was kind of, and I probably didn't understand fully how that worked, but the purpose of it was to easily move the camera around. And what turned out to be that should have been a solution for us because we're on horses. It was not working that great that day. And we'll get into that too. Why that didn't work out for us as easily, and maybe having a little bit, maybe he should have been more free flow with just the gimbal. But we are happy with the shot. Like you guys will see, it is really smooth. It's a nice smooth walking shot in the beginning.
Yeah. And I will say that taught me something about like independent, low budget film is how much smaller productions rely on closer shots. You know, because these wider shots from far away and there's lots of movement and stuff, it unless you're doing just a wide like master shot, it's tough to pull these things off because you can't just have a dude with a Steadicam on him running around. Like you've got to have it connected to the truck to be able to follow the horse and stuff like that. So that's something I didn't even consider. You know, that's why the movies with, you know, hundreds of armies of people and like all these cool like fantasy action shots and whatever are the big budget films, you know?
Right. And that's why we're like, ooh, you know, lessons learned.
Yeah.
We did not choose a small budget project.
Yeah.
And after all.
Yeah.
So that's a summary, I think, pretty much on Garrett's. I mean, mics, the boomer, like we had a boom mic, we had some lab mics for us.
But it didn't matter because the wind was too loud. We couldn't use any of the sound anyway.
So that didn't work out. So that to all of us was irrelevant. But we did pay for all those things. Yeah. And so then we then had to ADR. So sorry if it's obvious.
But I think it kind of worked out for us in the end because this was our first time ADRing. And we went to a studio, totally professional, amazing studio, but they weren't experienced in ADR. So like none of us really knew what we were doing. And it's hard. ADR is really fucking hard.
I was in there like, Tessa, we got to pretend we're all these horses again.
Yeah.
And like getting back into that mindset and like really, cause you have to you watch back, like there's so much going on.
There's so many little sounds you don't even think of and breath sounds and all of that stuff.
Exactly.
But it worked out because we didn't match up perfectly. But you know, in those old spaghetti westerns, they were speaking Italian in real life and they were overdubbed in English. So their mouths didn't always match either.
Keeping it real retro for you.
Yeah. So it kind of played, it added to that, which I think was just a really lucky accident for us. Which is a big thing we talk about sometimes is like use those lucky accidents. Sometimes when you fuck up, it turns out to really work for you.
Yeah. And just making the best of what you got.
Yeah.
So we certainly did that in the end. So then let's just move it forward to
shoot day.
To trying to get shoot day.
Yeah.
Trying to get shoot day.
PTSD.
I know that was very, very difficult. Very difficult. And that was because...
Well, we had scheduled to shoot in, I think, December 1st. First thing that happened was it the rain or the fires first?
It was the rain.
So we got rained out. It was like a fucking flood weekend or week or whatever.
It was like, what's it called? It was, there's a name for it, El Niño. Because there was Nino, like, couple years prior here in LA, and then there was El Niño. I could be wrong. But
I don't remember this, but I believe you. I think I blocked it out.
But it was a specific time where we were expected because of the environment that it is expected to have these floods of rain. This isn't typical, clearly, for LA.
Yeah.
We're in a drought right now. We're in some serious drought. Yeah. And yes, it does turn into rainy season in the winter, but not in December. The rainy season usually starts around January.
It doesn't. It was beyond our normal rainy season. It was so much rain that we couldn't even reschedule because we didn't know when we could.
Right.
You know, so we literally just had to indefinitely postpone for a minute.
Which, think about it, as a producer, you you make contracts for everyone, and then you have to then schedule, literally when you go into rescheduling, making sure everyone's available again, all over again. And thank God we don't have a 20-person crew.
But we still had a lot of moving parts.
A lot of moving parts. And, everyone's kind of, trying to help you out. So you just feel this pressure, I just want everyone to feel comfortable, moving forward. And
yeah.
And for us to get it right. So
then we finally rescheduled. And then we had to reschedule again. Because this time around, we had fire season.
Woo! Oh my God.
We were afraid Caravan West was going to get destroyed because
And they
there was a lot in that area.
They almost did. So in the surrounding areas, they were helping out other stables, like save their horses and the land as much as possible. And so they informed us that if we wanted to continue shooting on the day, we wanted to, because it was such high risk of fires, we would have had to hire a fireman team to have on standby. Do you think that was in our budget? No. So again, Tessa and I remember, I think we both cried.
Like, I absolutely.
We like cried. when we had to make that call.
I cried and yelled many times in the month of December that year. Let me tell you. Oh,
it was a nightmare. So then we had to push it for January, which, keep in mind too, with all the rain that was happening, that was gonna then mess with the look. I really wanted, we're inspired by French film, Jean-Luc Godard, and back then the spaghetti westerns too, there's this high like yellow, red, and blue, the triadic color scheme. So as a director, that's something I really wanted in the look.
The vibrance, yeah.
And that vibrance, and so with all the rain, all that yellowy field desert look was gonna started to turn green on us, which was a nightmare for my color editing.
Because it wasn't even a vibrant green. We couldn't even shoot it that way. It was like, it was a color we didn't want. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. So I was disappointed also that the look was starting to change. And that's something, again, like, when you're shooting outdoors, keep in mind, like, year round, that terrain is not going to stay the same.
Right. And the sky even. We wanted blue skies and it was cloudy.
It was cloudy. So, of course.
So we didn't have what we wanted, but we got to at least shoot on that day finally because we could not reschedule anymore. Like, we would have had to give up, honestly, I think, at that point. So anyway, day of, we get there, 4 a.m. or something crazy.
Carolina is day 1 on her period, which
she handled it like a champ. I just have to say, for those of you watching, I'm going to show you a little video of her like sticking up her leg in the air, doing acrobatics, like bringing the good vibes. She handled it like a champ.
I really, was going through it. And I think, I just shout out to all you ladies out there who work on productions. I get it. I do not have fun. None of us do, but mine are really painful and make me really sleepy and like.
And she was on a horse.
And I was on a horse. So thank God it was day 1. The floods weren't happening just yet, but it was pain and it was tiring and I'm on a horse and you can't get off. Like Tessa and I, because of the winds, so bringing back those 25 plus mile per hour winds, our costumes were built for desert summer. So we had short sleeves. Tessa had a long sleeve, but it was light and like, it was freezing.
Yeah.
So our PA, shout out to Adam Nail, he kept running back and forth with our winter coats.
Which we'll show you some pictures of us like full costume garb and then winter coat.
Yeah.
On the horse.
Constantly going back and forth. Yeah. So not only like that was miserable, but then it just being so cold on the freaking horse. So yes, let's see. So we get there that bright and early. Coffee's turning cold.
No, that was the thing. We had gotten iced coffee because we knew it would get cold. And everybody gave us a little shit for that.
Oh yeah.
But I think I do not regret that decision. I think that was a good decision on our part because it would have gotten cold anyway. So why not get coffee that's supposed to be cold?
Yeah, that would have been just kind of gross.
Yeah. But anyway, we made sure that we provided crafty snacks for everybody because I think that's super important to have enough beverages, enough food that people are satisfied while they're waiting for lunch because, everybody's waiting for lunch, which... Should we skip ahead and just tell the lunch story real quick?
Just go for it.
So we had pre-ordered pizza from a place nearby. I think they were called Big Mouth Pizza, maybe. Really delicious pizza, and they were great to work with, great prices and everything. But we had to send our PA, Adam, to get the food. So first of all, we had called for a grace, which means that lunch was going to be like 1 hour late just because we just wanted to finish this one scene. If we could get that done, it would be perfect. So we all agreed. We did it then. And we sent our PA to go get the food. So we're, out in the middle of like all of their land, right? And so he has to drive on this little road and get to a gate because they have a gate because they have livestock. So he did that and the gate was not unlocked. So we had a little 360 or 180 rather in my car on like a tiny little road. Come back to us. We're still shooting. So he's in the background of our shot.
He's in our shot. So we actually can't continue shooting. And he's just like, we're like, where's the walkie-talkie? Like, what's happening?
It was a nightmare for everyone involved from all sides. But eventually we got lunch and eventually we ate and it was just a little late. So make sure though, if you guys are on a union set, which we were not, you gotta like be really particular about that, which is something I don't think we knew also of the exact like amount of hours that you were supposed to like provide a lunch to people. I think it's like 6 hours after the first 6 hours. So when we asked like, hey guys, is it okay if we finish this scene? Like in a union project, you would have to officially call a grace, make sure everybody officially agrees. Something we didn't know.
Exactly. So it was intense. So to bring it back to us getting everything going. So literally the first thing that happens.
Just getting the horses out of the trailers.
Just getting the horses out of the trailers. Got to back them up. They got trailered over, and upon backing up, our wrangler was backing up the first horse, and it decides to kick him right into the wrist. And guys, I in general don't want to be at all by a horse when it is kicking around like those. They're beasts.
Yeah, it's no joke getting kicked by a horse.
So he immediately is like out. Like he can't.
Like his wrist is just like
it's
flopped.
just like flopped.
It's totally dislocated.
And
or his hand or his wrist or whatever.
We haven't gone and set up nothing. That is the first thing that happened. So he's like, I gotta go to the hospital. We're like, okay, go take care of yourself. Tessa's like, I remember you being like, okay, we have to redo it. And I just remember being like, no, we're going to keep everything the same. We're just going to keep going. And I don't care if I have to get Pete on the freaking horse.
That's what he did actually volunteer. If need be, he would be our stunt wrangler. So thank you, Pete.
Thank you, Pete. I was just like, we just got to pretend like we're okay. And we're just going to keep going. But I was like, we were both like, freaking out inside because it's like
we thought we had lost him as an actor, as a stuntman, as a wrangler,
and that was like everything we were building up for. So that was the first thing, and then
that was terrifying. But he turned out to be a real fucking cowboy because he got to that hospital and they said they weren't going to be able to take care of him right away and all this stuff. And
they said he had to go to an orthopedic, like a specialist, to just locate it back. Like, the man's hand is flopped and you're not going to put it back in place for him. He has to now go drive around to an orthopedic. Like, those are specialists. You technically, need appointments for that. He's at a hospital and they wouldn't. They also gave him some shit about not having the flu shot, which was also ridiculous. Okay.
Yeah. But in true cowboy fashion, he said, well, fuck this, and just right back into place. He popped his own hand into place.
Into place.
And then came back and shot for us. He just had an ace bandage around it or something.
What? I was and he goes to me and he's like, they asked me if I wanted some painkillers, and I looked at them and said, do I look like I need painkillers?
This guy's name is Larry Poole, by the way, you guys. If you ever need a rider, wrangler, stuntman guy, he is your guy.
Real cowboy.
Because, he told us all this. He comes back and he's like, well, no, I'm ready to shoot. We can just hide the bandage. We're like, are you sure? What? Really? Is this real life?
And that goes to, again, we're really glad we opened up our production company and got the right insurance, because we were able to protect ourselves and have his medical costs taken care of. Because yes, guys, that happened. Got the bill, got to take care of it.
Yeah.
So it was just we're really grateful that he was. Oh my God, That just doesn't happen. He really didn't have to come back. He was like, fuck this, I'm done.
Yeah.
and he came back for us. I could cry.
So that was problem number one.
That was problem one.
So we start shooting. We get some shit done, and it's going okay. It's very, very stressful. It's very difficult.
It wasn't okay because again, the black arm situation, like our DP, again, God bless him, he's just asking us to move 3 inches to the right, and on a horse, there's no like, hey, little guy, can you move 3 inches? Like we had to, every time we needed to reposition, it involved us like literally doing a whole circle loop because they don't just sidestep unless you're like, they're trained in dressage, I guess, if you guys know what that is.
Yeah.
Also fun fact, because Tess and I, again, trying to do everything we could, we took horseback riding lessons.
Yeah.
And did prepare and train ourselves to be able to ride horses. Now, there's a difference between, again, regular horses and movie horses. And on a dress rehearsal, I almost fell off and died because my horse, they just didn't happen to fasten my saddle really tight. And the moment I got on the horse, it just took off. I was like almost at a gallop speed, which is so fast. And I've only trained at a canter. So guys, there's like different speeds on a horse, to put it.
Yeah.
And let's just say that went right into full speed. I was like falling off and like had to like keep yanking so hard. And those horses, they sense fear, they sense everything. And I got him to stop luckily. And I was fine. I didn't fall off. But that was something else. Like on set, we had to be aware of like, these horses can take off, like, which is good because thank God he did take off when he needed to, and you guys will see that in the footage. And like it was really fun, honestly. Yeah. Like that was cool. I think we got that.
Because there's also like there's different levels of, like these were movie horses, but they weren't like show horses. Like I don't know what the right term for that is, but like there are horses that can sidestep. There are horses that can like. This is like not quite that level. These aren't horses that immediately will do exactly what you want them to do.
They're not people. They're not people.
They're just trained to be able to be around cameras and guns and people and shouting and all of these things and be able to handle that stuff, which is like, that's like level one. Like you need that. You need that kind of movie horse, but you don't necessarily need like the actual like show horse trained thing. But that, that meant that these were still fickle horses. They wanted to do what they wanted to do. They didn't always want to have to turn around to reset 3 inches to the right or whatever. And, thankfully we got really good footage in the end. And, I'm glad Mike was patient with us and everything, but because he hadn't worked with horses, he didn't know those things. And he was like, okay, let's reset. And we're like, we can't reset. For example, the scene or the portion of the scene when I shoot the gun, we had to do, I think, like 3 takes. And I was like, guys, we cannot do another take. My horse is done with this. Like, he was over it. I was afraid he was going to get angry and buck me off.
Like, Tessa could sense it.
Yeah, which ended up kind of cool. Again, happy accident, because the horse ended up turning around in the last take that we took, and I ended up shooting backwards on it, which looked really cool. Wasn't my intention.
Yeah, and like that stylistically, I would have never like ever directed that kind of look, and it just happened, and it ended up being a dope shot to work with. But those horses by the end of the day, they were getting tired and
they were over us.
They were very over us. So midday though, right before lunch, again, our one wrangler was down. We didn't know if he would come back at this point. And then our other wrangler, God bless him, we were trying to nail the rear shot. The rearing, you'll see that he has to get up on the horse and get it to rear, which again, these are stunt horses, so they can do those things.
Well, they're not stunt horses. They're movie
horses. So, but they can do stunts like this. And I mean, he had a special horse that would. I think that horse specifically was the horse that we had to get onto set as well. And like, that was also tricky because he was on the hill. There was different spots where it wasn't entirely flat because it's a hill. And to do that shot was very difficult. And at one point, the horse kind of just started, it reared, and I don't know if it tripped, but it started like it just running down backwards.
Yeah, when it had reared, I think it was too close to like the tilt of the hill. And, you know, horses have a different kind of balance and equilibrium and stuff than we do as humans. They've got 4 legs, they've got the eyes on their side of their head. So like, it's different for them. And the horse kind of got freaked out and confused and just started backing backwards down the hill really fast. And
he started to fall off. Actually,
he started to fall off while the horse is doing this. And he's afraid that the horse is going to trip and fall over like on top of him. Like, you know, we don't know what's happening. And it was the most crazy visual. Like, we'll show you guys.
We'll roll the tape. But oh my God, we were so scared. And he was also not very happy about that and very scared.
Yeah.
And so...
But thank God, another true professional. His name was Chris Shumway. Like, that was terrifying. You could tell he was scared and upset that it happened, you know, but he, as the saying goes, got back up on his horse.
And we got an amazing couple takes still. A couple. So thank you, because they look amazing on the short, and just stuff you don't know. And that's why it is important to work with trained professionals. I think Mike and him had to as a DP, like listen to also what the expert writer had to say about where the shot. And, you know, Mike's listening to my vision of like, I really wanted this hill, but, you know, they had to like really figure out, and eventually they found a spot on the hill that was flat. And I think that's why we were able to get the shots. Because when you're rearing too, I think this is also why it started to freak out and then just go backwards. You're pretty much telling it to go back by pulling back. And I think that's why pulling the reins back. And then for our audio listeners, I'm like pulling and they're like, yeah. So that was crazy.
It's something I recommend if you do have a more flexible budget and you are shooting, whether it's a Western that you're on horses or whatever with animals. And again, I'm so grateful to Mike, and I'm not saying this is like a hit to him or anything, but if you've got the budget, I would recommend using a DP or a director that has worked with animals, because in these specific moments, you know, again, it was like he needed us to be over a little bit because the framing of the shot, because it's connected to the black arm and they can't really move the camera where it would adjust to the horse. You know, it all made sense as to why it wasn't working together. But I think that that's something that, you know, if you have a DP that's used to working with horses, for instance, maybe they would have understood that a little bit better and been a little more prepared for that.
Just you living to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was like insane. So we called lunch at that point and then got the pizza. Yeah. Finally. And then I remember after lunch, I think that's when Larry came back and we were like, oh shit. Okay, we're ready to shoot his scene then.
I feel like after lunch was a lot more like, okay, bam, 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 let's just go. We got to fit it in. We got to get it done. And it was a little smoother because of that too, which left us with less shots than we ideally wanted because we just had to get them done. Yeah. You know? And we did end up cutting out a little bit of stuff that just wasn't really necessary or like super important.
Yeah, I remember at lunch I was going over my shots and I was like, okay, we're not going to have time to do this. So let's... Yeah, I had to reinvent the wheel a little and totally. I had to like kind of reinvent this one take with Mike and like be like, all right, because I really wanted the like classic shoot 3 times at your cowboy and the hat flies off and the gun flies out of his hand. And like, I really wanted that look, but there was just no way we were going to get that in the amount of time. So I just left it as we're going to just have her shoot at the cowboy simply. And I still, in the editing, made a cool 3-shot zoom in. And I used some of the Western kind of elements that you see in the old films. So that worked out. You know, you can still play in the editing, which is cool. But we had to redo those. So, and shout out to David, our AD,
who wasn't even supposed to be our AD and ended up being our AD because we didn't realize we really needed an AD.
Again, like us not knowing, now we know how important it is, to have someone. We had someone pulling focus. I know we had an assistant camera guy, or gal, but it was like people like an AD, so important. We'll definitely have one.
Yeah, not going to skimp on that again.
No.
Noted.
Especially though on a horse. Like when you're on an animal, I can't direct while I'm on a horse. Like it's not gonna happen.
If we didn't mention, Carolina was the director for this too, by the way, if you guys didn't know.
Kind of filtered that in. I'm like, so in directing the shot. So like, yeah, definitely we'll be working with ADs because they just help so much, and he helped really bring the team together too for us. So I really appreciate that because we're all stressed and tired too, being up so early and the long day as it proceeded, and but it started. Yeah, it was. The sunset was happening, which also is a fun thing for our lighting.
Which in the desert happens even earlier. So we had an even shorter day than we would have anywhere else.
So that was also good. Yeah, it was like also, sun like daylight savings too. So it was getting darker sooner too. So even faster, we're losing light. But we made it, I think then we made the rest of it work and
we pulled it off.
I feel tired talking about this.
It's really like PTSD. Like
I know, I'm like, oh my gosh.
But that's like kind of the thing about like being on set in general, especially when it's something that's so involved like this, and especially because we didn't really know what we were doing. It's like being on set is one of the most exciting and one of the most stressful and exhausting things ever.
Yeah.
Which, is something I learned about myself that day was like, as a producer, I want to hire someone to be like doing the on-set production things if I'm acting in it as well.
Production coordinating.
Yes.
And
like I'm good to do all the pre-pro, but when I'm an actor on set, I need to just be an actor. I can't worry about all those other things because I know for sure my performance suffered because I was way too worried about everything else going on.
And that stuff, again, like as you guys do things, you'll know where you feel most comfortable and where you can, play your part. And so I love that you said that because it's so important to know because you want to enjoy the experience. You want everyone on set to feel comfortable. And so the better people you have doing the right parts, then, it's just going to be a better day overall.
Yeah.
So now we know that. And like, in creating our next projects, we're going to keep, who are the people we really now need, and we know now, and we know where to put our money. Because that's the thing, people, I think, it's cool to get all the cool extra like shit on your set, but the people definitely matter. Your team, getting a really good team. And there are people who can work miracles without like needing that much extra help, but you gotta have that clear communication.
And the team also extends to post-production because, when we went into edit, we had never edited anything before and it was a nightmare. And like, that's why we set it aside for a couple of years and came back to it.
I'm pretty sure, Tessa, like we got Premiere Pro, the whole Adobe Creative Suite, which is what we edited on right when we got this project. So like, guys, if you edit at all, like imagine your first film being 4K red footage that you'll have to like sort through. And, I know.
On your old ass laptop too.
Oh my God, guys, I had a vintage. They don't make that anymore. Like 2011 or something, 2012 Mac. And it was so slow. Yeah. I think that was also part of what was killing me was the constant, you guys remember that rainbow wheel if you're editors? It just like spinning. Yeah. Like after every time I wanted it to like recalibrate, render something, it would just like, take forever. So it was really frustrating, and the lighting was frustrating.
Yeah, because we shot it, throughout one whole day outside. So the lighting was totally different on stuff that was supposed to be like it was really, really tough to figure out the lighting and the coloring and stuff. So be prepared if that's something that you don't know how to do, you might have to hire someone to do. So, keep in mind that that's going to be part of your crew too.
But your girl did it.
Or you can take a couple years, learn it, how to do it and perfect it. And,
Oh my God. I definitely didn't look at it for 6-something months at a time sometimes. And, no, because there was a point where I was like, I was literally devastated. I thought we had wasted all our money and that this thing was not going to come to fruition at all. And after I started to learn more, took off all the terrible color editing I had done to begin with, had the shots. I remember, shout out to Taylor Brash. We had her on the show. It's a great editor episode if you guys want to tune into that in our earlier seasons. We had a meeting with her as a favor to us. She like took a look at the footage of the shot list that I had, and she was like, no, it's there. Like, you need to, like, you know, tighten it up and maybe make it some moments happen faster, but this is good. This is there. And thank you so much for saying that, because that was like the first time where I was able to take a breath and be like, okay, we do have something here, and it isn't going to be a complete waste. And from then I got like, I was able to build up the momentum and finish it. And like, yeah, it's there. It's out.
So, I mean, so that's kind of, you know, nutshell, an hour, but still compared to the years literally that we've devoted to this thing, that's a nutshell version of our first project that we've been talking about
for years and years. Is what launched us. And it is it, because it pushed us to learn everything again, like the editing, the sound design.
But the reason we like took this time to tell you guys about that whole experience and everything is because we want you guys to realize how much work sometimes goes into a project. Sometimes it is easy. Sometimes it's something super simple. You shoot it in a week, you edit it in 2 months, and it's out, you know, 4 months from conception. That can certainly happen. But a project like this is a lot. And I don't think people realize, whether you are in film or not, how much it took to go into this project, especially being our first and us not really knowing what we were doing. So, you know, we end up with this 2.5 minute thing that I think we're pretty proud of, but we know it's not, you know, top-notch quality. But it's because like this is everything that went into it. And we just want to show you guys, really, you know, break it down for you guys.
Yeah. And that's from that we launched the podcast because, and we talked about this on the show, but now we can tell you guys about the finished product that took 3 years. And, you know, we hope that our next thing doesn't take as long, but I don't think it will.
Because we're also doing something a lot less complicated and we know what we're doing. So
but that's the thing. This is the journey. And that's why we're like, let's have a podcast around it, because here we can actually openly tell you everything and, you know, show you guys exclusives and give you the tea on it all. So I think, Tessa, like, we are, at the end of the day, we are really proud of it. I don't think, you know, honestly, I am kind of glad that we shot the hardest thing. I don't think if I were to come to Tessa today and be like, hi, so can we do a scene with horses and wranglers and guns? She'd be like, no. And, you know, fuck it. We have some cool footage for us as actors and for us as a company, because we did pull it off. And then it's not a full feature or anything by that means, but hey, we tactically, we did it. We learned from it. We know that environment now, and we do want to make the full feature eventually.
Yeah. I mean, I think at this point, it's not something I would want to take on quite yet, but I think at this point, we know how to better.
See, that's where my weird laughs come from. Yes.
You know, if we found like investors or a studio that was like, oh my God, we love this script, we want to do it with you guys, you know.
And we love like what you guys got going on.
Yeah. It's something that we could actually pull off if we had, you know, that sort of level of budget.
Because I think we've talked about it too, like me not wanting to do the wig anymore and all of that. Like we would have to redo the whole thing, you know. It's not.
Yeah. No, we would not be using that scene. We cut that scene from the script. Funny enough, it's not even in the movie anymore. Yeah, because it was just real random.
And there you go. There you have it. I don't want to cut it.
It's too random. It makes absolutely no sense. There's no build up to it. We'll talk about that later.
I'm like, I want the whole no, but that's the thing. You learn like what, you know, exactly. It's so funny. Now we know, like, if we shoot something ourselves with our own money, which if we go about that with our feature film that we're doing, the idea about it now is to if we put our own money in it, we want to actually have it be used for the film. And that's something, again, you learn, like, with this, we can't use it. So that's $6,000 that we will not that it was wasted, because again, we learned so much in like everything that we talked about, but we can't use it for our actual film. And now we want to be smarter. And I'm like, okay, the next time we put a shit ton of money of our own money into something, we want to make sure it's going to be like actually used.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess someone throws us $100K plus and they're like, no, we want to reshoot it and do this and this. I mean, we can talk, you investors listening. But yeah, that's just, we learned that. And so now we'll tactically do that next time.
Yeah. So that was just a little peek into Desert Flowers and our experience as filmmakers, you know, from the start, and what we've learned and what we had to deal with, and how you have to literally get back up on the horse because you're going to fail. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to have a lot of setbacks, but that's filmmaking. That's showbiz.
You tell him, sister. Oh God. I hope you guys like our accents. Please let us know.
They're better when we're actually trying and not just making fun.
Yeah, I'm not saying like on this show. I'm saying, yeah, we're making fun like on this show, but like actually, you know, tell us what you think. But no, I'm so glad that we did it, and you know, if you guys have any questions that you like, you know, if you're thinking about doing something to this kind of capacity, please, yeah, let us know. We can tell you like, yeah, do that or don't do that or something, you know, we're here to support.
Yeah.
As always. Your femme film gurus over here.
Yeah, and if you yourself are filming a Western, we've got some great footage to show you of a couple of actors that ride horses, you know? Shoot guns, do accents. You know, we got you.
We got you. Think of your femme girls. Yeah, we would love that. We love period pieces. We love acting in period type stuff. It's not the only thing, but it's something that we have fun coming from our theater backgrounds. I feel like that is the genre that you can attribute most to like a theater style performance, because you're really going into like a character. If you're like, as most actors, we love that. We love delving into the world of a character. But yeah, so love that. I feel like we can go on, but I think we're gonna. Is there any upcoming announcements, guys? Remember
just keep tuning in.
Tune in, subscribe, like. That helps us so much.
Yeah, subscribe, follow, whatever platform you're on. There's going to be some way to keep up with us. And if you are on Apple Podcasts specifically, leave us a 5-star review and or a 5-star rating rather, and then type out a review for us. It really helps us like bump up in the algorithm, so it helps new listeners find us, and we just really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much always for tuning in and supporting us. Special thank you to our Patreons. You guys are awesome. I hope you enjoyed getting the premiere footage.
And you know, a nice visual of your girls. Seriously guys, we love you. It helps us stay afloat and do amazing things. So as always, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to FemmeRegardPodcast. If you like what you hear, tune in every Friday for more tips on the filmmaking business and insightful conversations with industry professionals.
We can only grow with your support, so please subscribe, share, rate, and review. You can also join the Femme Fam on Patreon. For more on us, check us out at FemmeRegard.com.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.